Yes, yeah, I grew up in Laois, Port Laois, the Dublin Road. You were 50 miles from Dublin, and across the road was the prison. That was your landscape, and across the road from the prison was the mental asylum. I was just lucky enough now when free education came in to be able to slip into the College of Art and pursue there, you know. So, and the rest is history, as to say. Well, my first solo show was in the Project Art Centre. I think that was 1983 or 4. I worked in big timbers, you know, and I had no studio that could accommodate that. So I was up in O'Toole's fish farm out in the fields carving with a chainsaw and all this. And it was mad. I was young enough to be mad enough and strong enough. So I did that. You know, Temple Bar was brilliant for a young artist. You were just in the middle of it all, and there was everybody around you was buzzing. Everything was happening. But we had the sculpture studio, painting studio, the exhibition spaces. And I was so inspired by it, you know, on the street. I loved it. And then it turned into the film set, and I thought, you know, something, it's time to move on. You need to be out. You need space. God, it was beginning of the 90s, so we're talking 92, 3, and I'm going around saying, I was doing a project in Laois in Mount Rath, and the art teacher, Zita McGrath, said, why are you always looking at these old farmhouses? I said, I don't know, I have this hankering to get to the countryside and work from there. She says, oh, if you want a farmhouse, my aunt has one up in the asshole of nowhere. And then we got our little place here. Having looked back, it's gorgeous, brilliant, love it. And Leitrim was taken off for the art scene, and that was just timely. And I was thinking last night how much luck and timing you need in life, you know. You know, you could be lost somewhere and couldn't have been in a better spot, you know. My work was always figurative based, you know. And I use it as a vector to bring out my own emotions and thoughts. So Temple Bar, figurative based for sure, figurative. And I thought I'd be moving on to some big abstract forms. Never. I never ran out of what it was doing for me. So I kept going. This is all sticks. I found this by the lake. So it's beautifully honed down like flesh. And this is a branch from the garden. And then I love these little ones you bring in, and they're like, you see, I would go from picking up bits of sticks to doing bronze to carving out of a tree that's fallen. And my last show was based on after the storm, loads of trees fell in the garden. I started dragging a few bits down and working, you know, using that as, and then working into the sculptures, because I had been doing these support things within them that were kind of, for me, representing certain interior emotions, but nothing specific. Like you wouldn't write a thesis on it because you'd be making it up. It's physical, it's difficult, and if you haven't done it before, it's a process and it's all this. They were challenged with age and age issues. They kind of were the kind of people that got on with life and enjoyed life. So that's why they were there. They were open to the human encounter. So there's a very simple way. If you use the human form parts of it, and which we did, we started using hands. People thought hands express so much about their life. We did that, and we took casts of the hands, and you can use this algae, which is like a seaweed jelly. So we cast loads and loads of hands, and we'll begin to look a bit morbid. How will we develop a story here that means something to you and to me? You get to a certain age and you're not shy about saying what's important, and you say, well, really at this point, what's important is friendship. It's the human story, the human encounter and all that. The landscape has to have an effect, but I don't dwell too much on it because the landscape is amazing. Like I'm looking out here at Loch Allen, and that's the Shannon River. Now that is amazing to have that power beneath you. You feel like you could be walking across here and it could be 500 years ago, it could be 1,000 years ago. It hasn't changed that much.